What's going on YouTube? So Audi is in the midst of a major brand revamp, launching a ton of new products in quick succession. Now today we're with the latest model to join their lineup. This is the 2025 Audi A6 E-Tron. This new model is promising to bring the A6 forward in a lot of ways, especially in regard to technology. So, is this everything you could want from a luxury sportback? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Let's go ahead and start off with a quick spec dump. So all the A6 models will come with a 100 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery pack as the foundation. And then with the rear-wheel drive model, you're going to have 375 standard horsepower and a range that's just under 400 miles, 392 with the Ultra.
Now the base price for this model is $65,000, and if you're looking to buy one or any new vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price.
Now let's go ahead and close up the hood so that we can take a look at this all-new exterior as well as the high-tech interior. Now as you walk up to this all-new model, you're going to notice kind of a mixture of the newest Audi design language elements as well as some classic things that you're maybe used to seeing on the previous A6 models. Now up in the front, you've got the single frame grille here. Of course, this is going to be mostly sealed off as the e-tron designates this is an electric product, and certain design elements are carrying over from other electric products such as the Q6 SUV. Now up here you have got an illuminated logo, of course, some black accents down here on the bottom part of the vehicle, and then our headlights. This is one of the most distinct areas of this new design because they've moved to a split headlight design. So the headlights themselves are down here, they're projector LEDs of course, and then up top here we've got the separated unit for the daytime running light and turn signal indicator. Now since this is the Prestige trim level, that unlocks maximum customizability, so you can change the signature for the DRLs to a ton of different designs based on what you like. And moving on to the wheels, all of the A6 models come with a standard 20-inch alloy wheel. As you can see, it's got a nice contrast finish. Now, one of the things that's interesting about this model that Audi is offering this year is something called the Ultra package. That actually downsizes the wheels to 19 inches, gives them a very aerodynamic design as well. And we'll talk about this more later on, but that does add to the range. That's going to be the model that gets the maximum range possible. So move up here to our mirrors. Of course, as you can see, they are body color. You have the LED turn signal indicator, and they're fully loaded with all the features, including auto dimming on both the driver and passenger side.
Now at the side of the A6 Sportback E-Tron, the overall vehicle length is 194 inches. And for those of you that may have seen the upcoming A6, I do want to point out this is actually going to be riding on a completely different platform. This is riding on their new electric platform, and it is a Sportback, as you can see here at the side. The upcoming A6 model will actually be a sedan and about 2 inches longer. Now, our window surrounds are going to be chrome. They are currently not offering a black optic package here on the A6 model. You can get that if you get the S6 though, so keep that in mind. And as we go around to the rear of this vehicle, I have to say I really do like the way this vehicle looks. A lot of the electric vehicles can look a little bit frumpy, and this model I think has a very classy and elegant look to it. Now our glass is going to rake back at a pretty good angle, no spoiler or anything like that. However, you can get that on the S models. As far as the taillights are concerned, we have the new full-length LED taillight design that we've seen proliferate across the entire Audi lineup. That will include your dynamic turn signal, your brake light, and your reverse light. We do also have illuminated Audi branding here in the rear, and as long as you choose the Premium Plus or above, that will give you animations in the taillights itself. Now as we drop down to the lower fascia, we have a mixture of gloss black as well as body color and a pretty overall aggressive lower fascia. Now, when it comes to safety systems, Audi is going to give you 3 out of 4 active safety features as standard equipment on every single A6 model. That will include things like adaptive cruise control. If you choose the Premium Plus and above, though, that will additionally throw in things like lane centering with the adaptive cruise as well as lane keep assist. But guys, there is a pretty radical interior, and it also has a lot of luxury, so let's dive into that. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point.
And if you want to know about all the latest and greatest rides, then make sure to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the newest cars. All right, let's check out the cabin next. Before we hop inside though, here's our Audi key fob. It's their newer design. No special branding except for just the Audi logo right there. The S gets a little bit on the back. Smart entry is standard equipment, so you just reach behind the handle there and unlock the door. You can also use Audi's digital key system as well. Now, checking out the interior. If you're an owner of any of the previous generations of A6, you're going to notice a really big difference when it comes to the interior. It's certainly a little bit more tech forward than it has been in the past. But before we get into those specific details, let's talk about the seats. So just like all the other Audis in the lineup, you have standard real leather seats on all A6 models. As you can see, we've got some nice stitching and perforations on board. We also have the available sport design seat, so it's a little bit more aggressive than what's standard in terms of your bolstering, and this includes ventilation. It's an option, and you've got 3 different color choices, a black, brown, or the beige you see here today. Now in terms of your seat adjustments, as you can see, you've got quite a lot of them, including 4-way lumbar support, but you do not get the massage function from the S6. And let's go ahead and climb inside. And now that I'm inside the vehicle, let's look at the rest of the cabin materials. So over here on the door trim, we've got a leatherette with a stitching detail. We've got a big piece of natural open pore wood located here. It also integrates in our advanced ambient lighting and soft touch plastic along the top. We have a leatherette through here, more of the wood going through the center section, and then more of the leatherette through here and along there. And then the finishing piece here on the center console will be a piano black. Now when you get inside the vehicle, you can normally just get inside. That will fire up the vehicle. I did kind of get in quite quickly, so it glitched it out. And you can just press the button, of course, because you still have that as well. Let's jump right into some individual details of this interior. So we'll begin with kind of the obvious place, technology. So this is Audi's new system with a dual screen interface. With the gauge cluster specifically, we're looking at 11.9 inches of screen real estate, and you can reconfigure this design a few different ways. More important though is the fact that we've got a augmented reality head-up display. So this is a very impressive system. We've been using this today to kind of navigate around the Newport Beach area, and it kind of pops up specific directions and overlays them onto the real space in real time. It's very, very neat. Now as we pull back to the steering wheel, the A6 gets the 4-spoke design and the full round steering wheel instead of the flat bottom you get on the S6 model. If you get the Premium Plus or above, you get steering wheel heating. But regardless, you'll have power tilt and telescoping abilities. Now, let's take a look at interior storage next. When I open up the console here, you're going to notice quite a bit of space inside of here. Unfortunately, it's not going to be filled with donuts today because, as I mentioned, we're in California, not in our home state of Kentucky. We can't bring along too many donuts with us or we get yelled at by the TSA. So you'll just have to take a word for it that it is quite large because, as you can see, it curves and actually goes all the way over here. You got your cup holders. You have another very large storage bin right here. And then this kind of wall is where you can snap in your phone and use it as the wireless phone charging pad. Shifter itself, very small. Just pull back for drive, of course. Press forward for reverse. When you go into reverse, here's our 360-degree camera system. As you can see, it does kind of actively bend as you turn around the vehicle there. And I can press that and switch between a few different angles. And then just press that P right there for park. Now also in this area, you'll notice that we've got a volume knob. That's because here on this model, Prestige, and also the Premium Plus, as a matter of fact, you get a Bang & Olufsen 3D sound system with 16 speakers. Let's give it a sample right now. Yeah, so overall sound quality is quite nice. It certainly fills up the cabin very well. Alright, so let's continue on. A lot of the rest of the interior is going to be focused right here when it comes to the display. Now, I have to exit out of this. When you put it in park, it thinks you're automatically going to be exiting the vehicle. But we're going to stick around and tour this display, which is 14.5 inches. This is Audi's newest system software, so it runs a lot smoother than in their previous iterations. You have wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. That's what we have up right here. I'll also click there and show you what the built-in map looks like. So as you can see, it does have that satellite view, which is something Audi's been famous for a long time. At the bottom part, this is where you adjust your climate controls. Quite simple. This is a 3-zone automatic climate setup, and additional functions are inside that little panel right there. We have standard heated seats on all A6 models, and I already mentioned that we have the optional seat ventilation. Off to the right-hand side, we've got an additional display, only on the Prestige trim, otherwise this will just be blank, but this is a 10.9-inch passenger display. It has redundant controls to the infotainment system for the most part, but it also has some additional functions which are cool and exclusive to just the passenger. Obviously, you can do things like browse. You can also use media such as YouTube, stream your favorite car confections, videos, and the driver can't see this at all when they're driving. Up top, you've got the auto-dimming mirror with the compass built in and HomeLink remotes. And then as we take a look at the roof, there's some unique things going on here. So first of all, you can see it's a really huge uninterrupted piece of glass. This panoramic sunroof does not have a conventional shade, but what Audi has done instead is use this digital curtain, is what they call it, which makes the shade kind of opaque using technology. So if I press this button here, I can slide back this virtual sunshade, and you can see the sun shining right on me, and then when I pull it forward, it blocks that out mostly there. I can stop it at any points. And I can also press here to do some unique patterns, such as this kind of stripe design. So obviously there's some unique things going on. Just be aware that it does mean that this panel does not open up.
And let's also talk about the rear seat area in the A6 Sportback E-Tron. Now, before I even get into things, I do want to mention you do have soft close doors, so that's a really nice touch that they're including. And as far as the space is concerned back here, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. 35 inches of legroom, about 38 inches of headroom. So that means that for someone of my size, I'm 5'9" for reference, you are going to have plenty of space back here. And that's one of the reasons why we brought along the official Car Confections ruler, so we can see how much knee room we have behind Drew's 5'8" driving position. I'm 5'9", like I just mentioned. 9 inches of knee room. That's really quite good. Also, my feet can partially slide up underneath of the seat, although these seats do not recline, so keep that in mind. If I fold down the center armrest, I have 2 cup holders inside. And then as far as features are concerned, I have vents here in the center section. I also have them on the B-pillars as well, so I kind of get hit from both directions with the vents. I like that. We have our own zone of climate for the rear, and as long as you choose a higher-end example, that's where you're going to get the heated back seats. You additionally have 2 USB-C ports down below. Now, as far as the door trim is concerned, you are going to have a really nice one. It's going to be a lot of soft touch plastic up here in the upper part, leatherette all through the center section, and quite a bit of door storage. I also want to point out that you have quite a bit of ambient lighting as well. You have a very advanced ambient lighting system standard on this model, and that does continue here in the rear. Now we do have a hands-free power tailgate, and like I was telling you earlier, this is a Sportback, so that means that when we open up the tailgate, we're going to have a lot of space, way more than you would expect out of your typical sedan. About 26 cubic feet of space behind the second row of seats. If we fold those seats down, we're looking at 40 cubic feet of space. That is really impressive. Like I said, if you compare it to maybe even an SUV such as the Audi Q6 e-tron, that's only sitting at around 60 cubic feet, so not a huge sacrifice over something like that. And by the way, if you are cross-shopping in different vehicle segments, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings, because on our website we've looked at numerous vehicle segments, and we've ranked individual cars in each of those segments in categories that might be informative to you. So we definitely recommend you check that tool out at carconfections.com/vehicle rankings to make an informed buying decision. Now, when it comes to the seats themselves, they do fold 40-20-40 split. There are not any handles to do it from the cargo area, so I will have to go up there and do it manually. Now that we got those seats folded down, as you can see, they fold flat with the floor. Let's get our cargo length, width, and height figures, because this certainly is unlike most sedans. We're sitting at a whopping 79 inches of overall cargo length. Behind the Drew's driving position, he's 5'8". And then behind the second row, 43 inches. As far as the opening, that's 40 inches. And then as far as height is concerned, we're going to be sitting right around that 28-inch mark at the highest point. But do be aware, as you get towards the end of the cargo area, you're only looking at about 16 inches. Now, as far as under the cargo floor, there are not any spare tires or anything like that, but I'm happy to tell you that there is also a frunk up there, and that is not huge, but it does allow for plenty of room for maybe fast food or just things like a charging cable. Now, of course, in this test drive, we're going to be discussing quite a lot, as you can see on the screen right now. We'll be getting things such as our sound level reading, but first we need to go ahead and start with a hard acceleration.
That was 60, going up a hill there.
Very fast.
Yeah, quite quick, that's for sure. Now, we're not in the S6, we're in the A6, but we're in the dual motor all-wheel drive version. So, when it comes to the A6 e-tron, Audi is offering two different versions. So you have a rear-wheel drive model, that's going to be a one rear electric motor. The minimum power on that is 375 horsepower. However, with the dual motor all-wheel drive system, that moves up to 422 horsepower. So a pretty good jump, and that's when we're just talking about the standard mode. If you go into the launch mode, that actually bumps that power up temporarily even higher than that.
Yeah, 456 horsepower in the launch mode. Really, there's not a slow A6 Sportback e-tron, that's for sure. So your 0 to 60 on the slowest rear drive model is 5.2 seconds. With the dual motor all-wheel drive, 4.3 seconds. So like I said, not a slow model whatsoever, and you'll see that demonstrated as we take off from this red light. Yeah. Woo.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Definitely has the power and the torque to just push you back in your seat.
Yeah, especially when you're talking about a luxury kind of executive level sedan. I think it's really nice to have that power just on tap, available whenever you put your foot on the throttle. And this 422 horsepower that you're going to get really, I think, is more than adequate. We did have the chance to actually be behind the wheel of the Audi S6 as well during this program, and that, of course, is going to have more power. That has up to 543 horsepower, but I think for the vast majority of people, this will be more than adequate in terms of overall horsepower and acceleration. But I was talking about this being a very executive sedan experience, so we need to talk about ride quality as well. As we're just kind of cruising down this California highway, man, I'm reminded of just how good this vehicle rides. Now, why does it ride so good? Well, here in the A6 Prestige model, that's where you're going to unlock the adaptive air suspension. When you have the adaptive air suspension, not only does that allow for more customizability, it also gives you this sublime ride quality that you experience here. We've hit a lot of bumps in the road, and this does a really, really good job when it comes to the ride. I've been very impressed. That's for sure. Now, as far as the wheel sizing, we have 20-inch alloys on the outside, so those are really not massive wheels, and I think that will contribute to that really good ride quality. And I think these seats are also really nice. And now that we are cruising down the highway and going 55 miles per hour, I think now is a fantastic time for us to get our sound level reading. I went ahead and toggled it to fan speed 1 so we can see just how quiet this new A6 Sportback E-Tron is. They were definitely bragging that this is a very quiet cabin, so let's put that to the test. Nicely done. 54.3 decibels is what we are sitting at as our sound level reading. We don't have to sit here and guess though. We can go to carconfections.com/sound level readings and compare to all the other EVs that we've tested out. And as far as how that does compare to other EVs we've tested out on the channel, that is a very quiet overall experience, that's for sure. And Audi was bragging that they have acoustic front glass as well as side glass, which really insulates you inside this cabin. I can confirm, just kind of sitting in here, riding along today in both the A6 and the S6, it's a very sublimely quiet cabin. I do want to point out we are in California as well, so that 54 decibel reading is not really our official reading, and the roads here definitely are rougher than in Kentucky, so I'd expect that to be even quieter if we were to get that back home in Kentucky.
Now, we don't have a lot of curvy roads here, but we're in dynamic mode, so I'll just weave around a little bit to show you that each drive mode does, of course, change the characteristics of the vehicle, especially when you're talking about having that air suspension that we've got on the Prestige model today. That gives you more variability between your different modes, so you can feel that it does button down nicely. Of course, compared to the Q6 SUV that also shares this new electric platform, this has a lower center of gravity. The air suspension can also vary the height up to 1.6 inches, depending on the drive mode as well. So a lot of different things to customize it. At the end of the day, obviously, this is going for more of an executive sedan feel like we have been discussing throughout. So it's not overly sporty, that's for sure. You can definitely feel that there is quite a bit of weight on board, but it does have enough athleticism, I think, to be satisfying in the dynamic mode.
Yeah. Now, I do want to also talk about very pertinent things for an EV, such as range and charging. So I'm going to hit range because that's one of my favorite things about this A6 is the range. You can have up to 392 miles on a single charge, so nearly 400 with the single motor rear drive version with the Ultra package. So really impressive figures. The Quattro model, like what we have today, has a maximum of 377 miles, so really not a huge penalty in that respect either. And even if you go for the S6, the performance variant, it's still 324 miles. So every model is well into the 300 miles of range, which is, I think, very impressive. And as far as your charging speeds, those are pretty good too. 270 kilowatt max peak charging. That's good for 10 to 80% in as little as 21 minutes because it is an 800 volt architecture. You do also have the dual charge ports on this model, so you have one on each side, which is kind of convenient if you ask me. Do be aware though, they have not switched over to the NACS charging standard, so Audi said they will be making an announcement sometime in the near future about this, but this model will be launching without the NACS charger. Slam dunk and airball time. Drew, what's the slam dunk for this all-new A6?
The slam dunk is the range. Very impressive how they've packaged this. I know they made it extremely aerodynamic. It's their most aerodynamic model. And with the, just technology advances of the last few years, it's really leaps and bounds of an improvement over some of the past electric products from just a few years ago.
Yeah. On the airball side of things, one thing that we are a little disappointed by is the fact that we don't have a black optic package option on this A6 model. The black optic package on the S6 looks really fantastic, and I'd love to have that here on the A6 as well. So I'm not really sure why Audi is not giving us that. Perhaps they might add it in the future as well, so that's something to keep in mind. But as of now, you cannot get that, and I do really love the blacked out look as well as bigger wheel options because you're locked into either these 20-inch wheels that you have on this one or the smaller 19-inch wheels for the Ultra model. And let's discuss pricing for the Audi A6. So we start at a pretty attractive $65,900 for the base premium model. That is with the rear drive setup. Quattro is an extra $2,000. The Prestige is $72,200 plus $2,000, so $74,000 for the Prestige Quattro. If you want one optioned like today's example, you're looking at around $76,000 to $77,000. Now, if you're looking to buy an Audi A6 Sportback e-tron or any new vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. If you'd like to take advantage of that, as well as things like our monthly payment tool, you can find that in our video description, and we also have a pinned comment at the top of this video. But buying a vehicle is about more than just the original MSRP, so let's dive into resale and reliability. First up, let's talk about resale value. As an economics graduate myself, we took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this Audi A6 and S6 potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years and 60,000 miles, it'll be worth 40.5% of original MSRP, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 14.4%. Now, it's worth noting those are low figures for overall industry averages, so keep that in mind, but it is not out of line from other German rivals such as BMW and Mercedes-Benz.
Now, we've also done the same for reliability by developing the Combined Reliability Index. This takes into account several studies on reliability and combines them to give you a more holistic picture. In this regard, Audi is rated below the overall industry average for all vehicle makes.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about our resale values, our reliability data, or our methodology, be sure to go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a new vehicle is a very big decision, so you want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. I do also want to point out that electric vehicles do tend to have more variability when it comes to resale values. Now, when it comes to your warranty, you have a 4-year, 50,000-mile basic and powertrain setup. The battery itself is warranted for 8 years and 100,000 miles. And guys, that's going to wrap up our in-depth review of the all-new 2025 Audi A6 Sportback e-tron. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, which we hope you did, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to get the latest car reviews such as this, and you're also going to be a part of our Car Confections family. We have a lot of fun on this channel, and I promise you won't want to miss out. We'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies, and if you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support.